It really strikes me on several levels. I think the immediate thing that comes to mind with movement that I think about is reflecting on how movements have been so important to our community, physical movements of people and what that means to us and how we have come together, social movements and how we navigate these spaces and the challenges as a community. And looking at where we are now, a year ago, there was so much attention to so many of the struggles that the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community has been facing. But seeing that as just a moment of national attention and how we need to continue building these movements and we have to continue creating movements in order to have progress. And it was a great thing that happened to have that attention and that support for that time. But that moment is gone and we have to be there to create the next movement has to come from us. And what better place to do that than APAHE?
I've always loved any words that invite us to take action. I know that almost every organization has core values and core themes, but I really resonate with themes that inspire us to go do something, right? Not just understand more about ourselves and others around us, but to go do something. And so when I think about movement API, I think about a lot of Asians, Pacific Americans, Asian Pacific Islanders moving together, moving in unison and being stronger together. I've often shared that one of my life metaphors is the canoe, because the canoe is something that is part of my ancestry from all three of my heritages. The Filipino people were canoe people, the Japanese people were canoe people, and the Hawaiian people were canoe people. And so for me, I can't imagine my ancestors ever being proud of me just sitting in the canoe and not rowing. I feel like all of us have to put the canoe in the water and row, and there's a certain sense of responsibility, a call to action that's pretty inspiring to me, to say whatever's happened in the past, whatever mentors and leaders have come before us to give us these opportunities, we have a responsibility to now do the rowing. And so Movement API is a beautiful image to me of people who I consider my brothers, sisters, cousins, my API family rowing together.
Means having more of a focus on how AA and HPI folks can really change the system that has really negatively impacted a lot of minoritized communities in a lot of different ways, and really focus on the action portion. So when I hear movement, when it comes to higher education, it's not just being complacent on various issues like anti-Asian or anti-Black hate or anything, but actively and making strides to do something about it. And, what are the ways that we can help move towards a more holistically supportive environment, especially for our students?
Create changes in my professional world. So I'm at a community college that's very urban, has a large African American population, large API population, large Latinx population. And I feel like when I'm able to support staff to provide better services to support these students across the curriculum, I am moving representing our API. I mean, the fact is, any environment we're in, people around us see that I'm Asian. When they see that I am doing something good, I'm hoping they also contribute to the fact that I am part of API and proud to be API, right? It is just about, am I doing the best work I can where I'm at? And I feel like when I do that, I am contributing to the larger group, bigger API movement.
And at first I was like, okay, like there could be many variations of movement API or API movement or movement for the API community, right? But I think in my perspective and through my lens, I think movement API means that we're creating opportunities and pathways for the future generation, right? The API movement was what was done by our older brothers and sisters and our elders. But I think movement API is for me to be part of, whether it's advocating at the forefront of what it means to be an Asian Pacific Islander student affairs professional, right? Whether it means having opportunities to teach a course on Asian American studies or just impact the Asian community awareness within the institution that I'm a part of, right?
I was thinking mostly about, some of the things that we talked about in Leap Advance. And, it took a lot of great leaders have gone through that experience. But what it did is gave them and eventually us a lot of extra tools and extra resources, a larger and stronger network, to get into positions of leadership. And so now we have institutional CEOs and different leads who are Asian American, Desi American, Pacific Islander, who represent our community. And in turn, it helps to give us voices as those who follow them and who work at those institutions. Whereas in other cases, and if it wasn't for that, we may or may not have those voices the same as other folks from other communities do. And I think that started Movement API some time ago, really continues to strengthen in that way.